Hello, friends. Today we are talking about how to smooth out your voice, specifically, how to smooth the transition from your chest voice, hey, into your head voice, whoo. Most of us, before we've gone through any training, I would almost say all of us probably have a pretty clunky transition. We experience a crack or a break of some kind as we're going from low to high or high to low. And that'll happen in vocal exercises and songs as well if we don't work on it. Um, so, if you're new here, I'm Camille, here with 30 Day Singer. I'm going to just give you a quick overview of what to expect first. So, I have three main things to cover. First, our overall goal and the coordination to make that smooth transition happen. Um, Want to talk about singing without a noticeable crack, specifically within songs. So, practical things that you can do to make sure that you're not experiencing those voice cracks within a song. And we'll talk about building mix or middle voice as well. The last 15 minutes of this hour are set aside for Q&A for you. So you're welcome to ask questions in the chat as we go along, but just know that those last 15 minutes are yours. All right, first, how to blend registers. Our overall goal is, again, having a smooth transition from low to high. For example, if we sing ooh versus a clunky or cracky transition would sound like ooh. And you could hear there was kind of a yodel or a break as I ascended. Um, so, our goal was the first example, a smooth transition. And what that requires is for the muscles within your throat to work together instead of just one muscle pair doing most of the work and then giving up and handing over very abruptly to the other muscle pair. And it's more complicated than this, but we often will talk about the chest voice. That's just another word for your speaking voice. So if you're talking, you're saying, hello, hi, my name is whatever. And then you sing kind of in that range and it sounds very similar. So, hello, that is chest voice. Um, when you are speaking or singing in chest voice, we usually associate that more with the thyroarytenoid muscles. You don't need to memorize that. I'm just might refer to them later, TA for short. When we're singing in head voice or falsetto, that's the function that's usually reserved for the higher pitches within your range. So it sounds like ooh again, as opposed to hey, ooh. Different voice quality there. There's another muscle pair that we usually associate with that sound, the higher, lighter head voice or falsetto sound. That's your CT or cricothyroid muscles. So, just to simplify, when we have that crack or break, you can think about it as one muscle pair is in charge, it's dominant, and then it just whoop, lets go. And that's what you experience when you yodel. Ah, ah, is you're just abruptly flipping from one register to the next. And that's actually not a bad thing. It's certainly not a bad thing at the start. I don't know. I was gonna say I've never worked with a singer who from day one has a smooth transition from bottom to top. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I've come across a few, but it's very, very rare. I expect most untrained singers to have some sort of flip or crack in the middle. So that's very, very normal. All right. So how do we get this smooth transition? First, we need access to both our chest register and our head register. Think about it this way. If I want a transition between two modes of singing or 2 points, I have to first access both modes or both points. It will not work if I just stay in chest voice and try to sing higher. I'm going to shout. And then eventually I will crack. Uh, and you've probably experienced that. By the same token, I can't just rely on my head voice. If I do that, if I just stay in head voice all the time, ooh, then my low notes, ooh, woo will not have the strength or the vitality or the tone that I want them to. So we need access to both. Some chest friendly or chest voice friendly exercises are very much like speaking on pitch. So if you do this for me, higher voices, that's if you have a voice kind of similar to mine, try singing right here and give me a go, 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 go. And think about this as speaking, not singing. Here you go. Go, 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 go. If it feels and sounds as strong as your speaking voice, you're doing it right. If it feels significantly weaker or lighter, if you're going go, 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 that might be pretty and that might be a style that we use sometimes, but that is not your full strong chest voice. That's not all you have to offer. So think speaking on pitch, and you can also think about kind of being stern with somebody. So, especially if you're a soft spoken person and maybe your speaking voice does sound a little bit more like this, what does it sound like when you are stern with someone and when you're really getting your point across? So, keep that in mind. The range in which higher voices like mine can exercise chest voice, really, it's as low as you're comfortable singing up to around a G4. That's that note right there. So, if we took this exercise up, go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Couple more. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Don't give up. You might be tempted to go, 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 and flip into head voice. Don't do it. You don't need to yet. It's not high enough to flip into head voice. One more. Go, 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 go. Okay, low voices, you can take that chest voice or speaking voice sound up to about a D4. That's that note right there. So low voices start right here. You're starting on F3, and if you're not sure if you're singing the correct pitch, you can open up tuner.ninja or another chromatic tuner app. And again, you're speaking on pitch. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. If you have a low voice, this is high chest voice for you. So don't be thrown off by the fact that it sounds low for me. It is low for me, but it won't be low for you. So if you have a low voice, tenor, baritone, bass, this is going to feel high and energetic. Keep going. Two more. Cool. Okay. So remember, high voices like mine, you can take your speaking voice or chest voice all the way up to a G4 very safely. And low voices, you can do the same. If you have an extremely low voice, like like lower than Johnny Cash low, like true crazy low bass, maybe you're gonna cap off at C4. That's middle C, but most low voices will be able to sing D4 no problem. Okay, so we've accessed our chest voice. You need to be using that sound in your vocal warm up and in the songs that you sing when the pitches are within that range. Okay, so if I'm singing a song, I'm going, let's say, there goes my heart beating. And I'm always singing, there goes my heart, more in my head voice. I'm not exercising my chest voice. I'm not using my chest voice for exactly what it's good for. So, anyways, chest voice as strong and as powerful as your speaking voice. Next, access your head voice, and everyone's going to be together right now. So, low and high voices, I don't care. Try this with me. Give me a high pitched, excited woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. That's on a G4. Okay, high voices like mine, that is a little bit low for you to be in head voice, but low voices, you'll be happy there. Let's walk up. Woo-hoo. Woo-hoo. High, light, excited, happy. Woo-hoo. Drop out if you feel like you're straining. Woo-hoo. One more. Woo-hoo. Okay, you could keep going up with this. We started at G4, we stopped at C5. Obviously, high voices like mine, you'll be able to sing much higher than that. But the reason I start with sounds rather than an exercise, the reason I didn't have you go ooh and start walking, is because lots of times when people start to sing in head voice for the first time, they squeeze. They think they have to. So they constrict and they end up getting a sound like ooh, and it doesn't feel good and it doesn't sound good. So I would rather have you start just with sounds rather than exercises, if that makes sense. Okay, so you've accessed your head voice. Great. We have the ingredients to now start working on a smooth transition. So accessing both, that's great. Now we're going to switch between the two. The easiest way to do this, I think, is over an octave. An octave is if you sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 oct. Okay, so you're singing 1 and 8. That was an octave. It's also the very first line in Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Somewhere. Okay, anyways, so we're going to start in head voice. We're going to go whoo. And then in chest voice, we're going to say, yeah, whoo, yeah. And we'll go back and forth maybe 2 times. So we'll go, whoo, yeah, whoo, yeah. So you can feel the difference and give your voice a chance to switch between those 2 modes. We're starting on G4 and landing on G3. Very important. If you're a new singer, especially if you have a low voice, I need you to make sure that you are singing G4 and G3. Because what some low voices are going to do is they're going to start on G4 and then they're going to jump all the way down here to G2. So if you think you are in danger of that, if you are not rock solid on your pitch, I need you to open up tuner.ninja. I will put the link in the chat for you. Okay. And use that. Give it permission to access your microphone. If you have headphones on and you're listening to me through headphones, it won't analyze my pitch. It'll just analyze yours. Okay. So that would be ideal. Again, we're starting G4 and then G3. And our exercise is whoo, yeah, whoo, yeah. I know it sounds silly. Have fun with it. Here we go. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Walking up. Ooh, yeah. 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 Awesome. So now that we've given our voice a chance to go back and forth, let's make the interval or the distance between the 2 notes smaller. That'll be a little bit more challenging. We're gonna start. I'm trying to stick within a range that everyone can sing. By the way, so for high voices like mine, you might think this is kind of low, and for low voices, you might think this is kind of high. Anyways, so let's start. Let's start right here. Same exercise, different distance between the notes. It's shorter now. That interval, by the way, is called a perfect fifth. If you sing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then just sing the 1 and the 5, 1, 5, that's a perfect fifth. It is the beginning of Star Wars, da, 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 da. Or if we reverse it like we just did, it's Flintstones. Okay, so here we are. We are singing, whoo, yeah, whoo, yeah. Again, giving your voice a chance to switch between head voice and chest voice. Ready? G4 is your starting pitch, C4 is the bottom note. Use Tuner Ninja if you don't know if you're singing those notes. I don't want you singing an octave lower. That won't get you up in head voice. All right, here goes. Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah. If that lower note gets too high for you in chest voice, just drop out. Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah. Last one. Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah. Good. Okay, same idea. Now we're gonna slide. And we'll go back to the octave. Ooh, yeah. All right. We're using ooh because it naturally gets our voice into a head voice or falsetto condition. It helps us find head voice. We're using yeah because it helps us find chest voice. If I gave you yeah the whole time, yeah, you would just be in chest voice and that would not help us with a smooth transition. If I gave you ooh the whole time, ooh, you could just stay in head voice. So again, we're training the transition. That means we have to access both head voice and chest voice. Here we go. You are singing G4 on top. G3 is what you're sliding down to. And it's ooh, yeah. And little cracks along the way or little yodels are okay. So if you sound like, ooh, yeah, that's fine. Your voice has not learned yet, maybe, how to have a smooth handoff, but it is handing off. Okay, that's the necessary first step. All right, here goes. Ooh, yeah. Slide. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Good job. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Awesome. We started up the octave, sliding down, because it's usually easier for people that way. If we start on the bottom, if I go, yeah, ooh, yeah, which we will do next, but if we start with that, sometimes people just have a harder time finding their head voice, particularly because most of us, we speak in chest voice. So it's easy to find chest voice. It's not as easy for some singers to find head voice. So that's why. Let's start. We'll try now. We'll try. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Okay. So yeah on the bottom, gradually morphing to an ooh on the top, and then gradually morphing back to that yeah. You have to slide. You have to slide eventually. If you can't slide today, that's okay. But don't avoid the slide just because you have a crack. So if you're going, yeah, ooh, yeah, that's fine. That was the first exercise we did, right? Just switching. But once you can do that, you have to start sliding. If you don't start sliding, you're not training that smooth handoff. And that's why we're here. So even if you crack, if you go, yeah, ooh, that's okay. Let your voice crack. Here goes. You're starting on G3, sliding to G4. Yeah, ooh, yeah. It helps, by the way, if you try to maintain an even volume. Yeah, ooh, yeah. If you let yourself get louder as you ascend, yeah, you're just going to pull up chest voice, and then you're going to have that really noticeable flip or yodel. If you're really light and quiet the whole time, yeah, ooh, yeah. Sure, that's a smooth transition, but it's actually not transitioning from chest voice to head voice. I'm just in head voice the whole time. So give me a nice, even medium volume. Make that your goal. All right, easier said than done, as are many things with singing. but that will eventually give you that smoother transition, is if you keep an even, consistent, medium volume. Not too loud, because then you're just going to push chest voice. Here we are. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Little cracks are okay. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Last one if you can. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. You'll find the smoother and more gradual your transition between vowels, the smoother your transition is going to be as well. So, by the same token, if I go, yeah, ooh, I'm going to hear that flip a little bit more than if I gradually morph from yow. So, even, consistent, medium volume, and really gradual morphing of those vowels will help you out. Okay, you can play with different vowel combinations. Again, I chose the ones that work for most people across the board. Oo gets us in head voice the easiest. Ah typically gets us in chest voice. But some other vowel combinations you could try would be, instead of ah, you might try a, like hey, hey, and then to e, something like that. Just keep in mind, we want wide open vowels when we're in chest voice, and then we want closed, narrow vowels when we're in head voice. Not all the time, but just to help you find those different registers or modes of singing. Also helpful when you're starting to train this slide are SOVT exercises. That stands for semi-occluded vocal tract, and it's just a fancy way to say that your vocal tract, that's just the space above your vocal folds in your larynx. So the space above your vocal folds all the way to your lips. So that's going through the top of your throat into your mouth. Okay, that's what we call your vocal tract, because it's the pathway, or the tube, if you will, the space in which your air is traveling. And that sound wave is bouncing around within your mouth and throat before it then leaves you. Once it is past your lips, then you're not in control of the sound anymore. Anyways, okay, so semi-occluded vocal tract. Semi-occluded means partially closed vocal tract. That's any exercise in which there's some closure. So the example you probably are most familiar with is a lip trill. There's partial closure right there with our lips. Another one, of course, that you know is a hum. I'm partially closing my vocal tract by closing my lips. My personal favorite is the NG. So if you say the word sing and then hold on to the end of it, sing. Where is the closure? If you're here live, tell me, where do you feel that partial closure? I will give you the answer. But let me know if you have a guess. So, lip trill, tongue trill would be another one. If you can roll your R's and that's comfortable for you. Raspberries, tongue out hum. That's another personal favorite of mine. I really like it. NG, V or Z, v, z, all of these are SOVTs. Another very well known one is singing through a straw. Okay, why am I talking about this? SOVTs are really, really helpful for smoothing out your break. Okay, so Kay said, I think the closure is happening in the throat. You're close. Yeah, yeah. So the question was, where is the closure happening when you sing an NG? Mm. Ooh, you guys, good guesses. So it's at the back of your mouth. It's your tongue meeting your soft palate. So I can see how that almost feels like the throat because it's at the very back of the mouth. But the partial closure when you sing an NG is between the back of your tongue and your soft palate. You can feel that if you say sing ah, you're gonna feel your tongue drop down and maybe your soft palate lift. So you can feel that. Try that with me. Say sing, sing, and now you'll really clearly feel, oh, okay, it's the back of the tongue meeting the soft palate. And D Phantom was saying vocal folds. That's also a good answer. But your vocal folds, when you're phonating or making sound, they're always partially closing, right? So typically we don't think of vocal folds as uh, closure of the vocal tract since technically they're at the bottom. Anything above the vocal folds is what constitutes your vocal tract. But I understand what you're thinking, and your vocal folds are always closing and opening, vibrating together to make sound. All right, so those same exercises that we tried where we were sliding high to low, ooh, yeah, or low to high, yeah, ooh, yeah. You can also do that with something semi occluded. So an NG, for example, mm, or the lip trill. The only tricky thing and warning I'll give you, not a warning, but just a piece of advice. When you use semi closed sounds, make sure you are still accessing your chest voice on the bottom and your head voice on the top. Um, Sometimes what I find is if I give the lip trill to a singer, then they just stay in head voice the whole time. See if you can tell the difference, okay? This time I'm only in head voice versus this time I'm going to go to chest voice. So if you have that awareness and you can tell, no, I'm just staying in head voice the whole time, that might not be the best exercise for you to train a smooth transition. Um, Global Warming was saying, how do you sing smoother in a lower register? So I actually have another video that would better address that. Um, I I know this video might have been titled in a confusing way, um, but I have a video on smooth, rich tone, and I'm gonna get the link for that for you here. It's 16 minutes, so it's not that short, but if you watch that little mini lesson, I think that will help answer your question. And Kay's asking, ooh, what is physically happening in the vocal tract during head and chest voice, respectively? Um, oh man. So Kay, we think about okay, in chest voice, I'll try to make this as understandable as possible. In chest voice, the sound, the resonance, the vibration is more associated with your throat and your mouth. But more your throat, I should say. Um, in head voice, the resonance or vibration is more associated with your mouth or your nose. Um, that's physically what's happening. And Taryn's asking, are you supposed to use a mix of chest and head voice? Yes, if you're in that middle zone. And that's what we're on our way to developing when we're doing these exercises that slide between the two. But Taryn, there are plenty of instances where you're going to be using more of a pure chest voice or speaking voice sound, and there's plenty of instances where you're gonna use a pure head voice sound. Um, but in a lot of contemporary singing, there's some sort of mix happening a lot of the time. Um, okay, so let's talk about, since Taryn just asked that, let's jump to building mixer middle voice, and then we'll end with singing without a noticeable crack in songs before we do Q&A. So building mixer middle voice, what are the prerequisites? You need to be accessing your chest voice or speaking voice. You need to be accessing your head voice or that woohoo sound. You need to start sliding between the two. Okay, so we've done all of that so far. Great. And then lastly, we want to use mix friendly syllables or vocal setups. Um, that means using syllables that help us achieve that balance of chest and head function. So, one of my personal favorites I learned from John Henney, another excellent voice teacher. He likes using the word one when setting up for mixed voice. Reason for that is it prevents you from grabbing or yelling. You don't yell one. You yell hey or yeah. So if we think about it with me, if we did a vocal exercise that was just on hey, 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 I'm just naturally going to use chest voice the whole time. If I do an entire exercise on ooh or e, wee, I'm naturally going to find my head voice. If I use something a little bit more mix friendly, like this one, or really anything with an or an sound, one, much easier for me to find that middle ground and not be relying totally on chest voice or totally on head voice. So I like the word one. I also like the word why, especially a kind of bratty or pouty why. I know it's not a cute sound, but it really helps people. It helps them to lighten up their sound as they go higher without losing all of that chest voice connection. So, one I like, why I like. If you're a very, very shouty singer, so if you don't access your head voice easily and you just tend to get louder and heavy as you sing higher, you might benefit from a slightly darker, richer sound. So, think sounds like mum or buh, as in book, buh, 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 or wuh, as in wood, wuh, 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 wuh. Okay. If you are a really light, quiet singer, again, bratty or pouty exercises really tend to do well. So think nays, nay, 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 or that pouty Y I shared from before, or even wah, 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 wah. Again, not a cute sound, but those sounds tend to help us find that mix or middle balance where we're a little bit lighter than chest voice, but we're not all the way flipping into head voice. Okay, so we have other videos on mix middle voice. I won't spend too much time on that. I want to jump back to singing without a noticeable crack in songs. Before I do that, I feel like I've been just talking a mile a minute. So I'm going to take a drink of water. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. But that's where we're going next, singing without a noticeable crack within songs. Okay. I figured it would be easy enough for us to kind of walk through a real song example. The one I've been using a lot lately because it just entered the public domain and I can sing it without, copyright infringement is "Someone to Watch Over Me." So I want to use that. If you're sick of this song, I'm sorry, but I'm not that sorry. So here's sheet music if you want to follow along. and it has lyrics on it, so you don't need to read sheet music in order for looking at the sheet music to help you. Okay, so, um, I'm gonna walk back. Singing without a noticeable crack within songs. For me, it comes down to planning ahead and knowing your voice. Um, when I'm singing, if I want to sing without cracking, I have to determine ahead of time what I want my volume to be, what register I'm going to be singing in, if possible. I need to anticipate the amount of vocal effort that is going to take. Um, it's going to take a different amount of vocal effort for me to sing, for example, there's a saying old versus there's a saying old. And if I haven't decided ahead of time, I might end up with there's a saying old. My voice is confused. It's like, do you want to be in head voice or chest voice? What's happening? Um, so determine ahead of time. That's really what it comes down to for me. Anticipate the amount of vocal effort it'll take, the demands on your air or your breath. So if I plan to belt something, I might need a little bit of a fuller breath than if I'm not going to belt that line. The vowel shapes or vowel modifications necessary, that one's huge. If I'm going for this note and the vowel that I'm singing doesn't set me up well for it, that also can cause a crack. Um, so, and then last kind of bit of that before we start singing a little bit more. Um, knowing your voice, know what your voice wants to do, like what comes easy for it and what doesn't. Um, so let's get an example. At the beginning of this, I'm planning ahead. I know that I want to be in chest voice here. It's low enough to be in chest voice. Um, so I'm going to be. There's a saying old says that love is blind. Still, we're often told, seek and ye shall find. Okay, so right there was a decision to be made. Still, we're often told, seek. If I don't make that decision, either I'm going to carry chest voice up. Still, we're often told, seek and ye shall find. Or I'm going to flip, I'm going to crack. Still, we're often told, seek or seek. But since I've decided I want to be in head voice there, still, we're often told, seek. Then my voice knows what to expect. I don't crack. Um, Seek and ye shall find. Okay, this next line. So I'm going to seek a certain lad I've had. That line, because it's covering quite a lot of ground, that is just ground ripe for cracking. Um, if I don't make any decisions, so I'm going to seek a certain lad I've had, then the default is I'm just going to stay in chest voice until it feels too high, and then I'm going to flip into head voice, and then, you know what I mean? That's just going to happen. It's not your fault. That's just your voice taking the easy way out. It's hard for your voice. um, not hard, but it's not 100% natural for your voice to switch modes unless you've decided that's what you're gonna do. So, for my voice, you might make a different choice, but singing this line, "So I'm going," I make a conscious effort to switch into more of a head voice coordination for the word going. So I'm going to seek a certain, and another register shift between certain lad I've had in mind. Okay, so when we put it together, so I'm going to seek a certain lad I've had in mind. I don't know what to do with in mind. It could be head voice or not. Anyways, um, So I hope you understand when you hear a singer singing really smoothly and you can't hear those register transitions even really happening, they're still happening. Um, it's just that singer knows their voice well and they've decided ahead of time, this is how I'm going to handle this phrase. That's where rehearsal comes into play. If I just sing this song with no planning ahead, I would crack. Sure. Um, when you work on a song, these are the decisions you're making, these are the details you're ironing out. And then your rehearsal, once you've made those decisions, your rehearsal is to solidify those choices so they feel like second nature. So if I've sung this song now dozens of times, I don't have to think about, so I'm switch registers going to seek. No, so I'm going to seek. It feels very natural to do that because I've done it many times. Um, Anyways, that's why we practice. That's why we practice, so that the technical decisions we've made, um, start to feel like second nature. That way you don't have to focus on them anymore, and you can focus on storytelling, emotion, performance. Um, it's not going to be a good performance if you step on stage or walk into that audition room and you're having to think about every technical thing, like your breath and your vowel modifications. Um, okay. Anyways, we are almost at Q&A time, so I hope you have questions because I will look for answers. I will do my best. Um, I will grab for you really quick because I mentioned song work. Um, Kalani, that was Someone to Watch Over Me by Irving Berlin, and I'm most familiar with the Ella Fitzgerald version. I think most people are, but I could be wrong. Um, Okay, I'm gonna grab an article for you real quick. I mentioned song work, and I wrote this article with steps to follow for your song work. I did a live lesson on this as well. This is how to choose and work on a song. So hopefully, it can help guide you make some of those technical decisions. Um, like this, like deciding where your register shifts are happening, how much air do you need, how much volume do you need, what kind of vowels do you need, um, to avoid those cracks. There was another, live lesson I did a long time ago, and it had to do with cracking as well. Let me see if I can find that easily for you. How to avoid voice cracking. Okay, so there's another entire hour on avoiding cracking. The focus of this was smoothing out your transition, but of course, we're talking about avoiding cracking as well. Okay, Kay was asking, like voice cracks, is hoarseness natural when transitioning between head and chest voice? Um, I can't say that it's normal. Um, It's not ideal. It's not something that I would experience, um, at this point in life, but it's something that I can imagine a beginning singer experiencing if they are uncomfortable with switching registers, particularly if they're kinda straining or squeezing more than is necessary between chest voice or head voice. So, I would say it could be normal, but is it ideal? No. And will it continue? I hope not. um, can you do a video on, do you mean Justin Bieber or another JB? Vocal style and technique. So we've paused the style breakdowns for the moment due to copyright infringement reasons. We don't want to break any copyright laws. So that's why I haven't done more of the style breakdowns lately. But I can file it away for if slash when we resume those. D Phantoms asking, my voice really rarely cracks. Going low to high and high to low. Does this mean I have control over my range? Could. Yeah. Sounds like it to me. Good on you. Um, the other question I would ask you is, are you accessing head voice, or are you just going from low chest voice into, let's say, high chest voice? And if you're experiencing 0 cracks, but yeah, you could be one of the lucky ones that just naturally finds that smoother transition, and if so, wonderful. Um, but yeah, I do work with some beginners sometimes who think they're in head voice and they're just in high chest voice. So they've felt there's some shift happening, but really it's just kind of the shift between low or medium chest voice into high chest voice, which has a little bit more energy to it. Um, anyway, so that would be my only question: is are you truly going from chest voice to head voice? And I think the way, um, yeah, the way to see if you're doing that is again by making that kind of high excited woohoo sound. Um, because that would be your head voice sound. Kay is saying, so even seasoned singers can crack when first practicing a song. 100%. We've seen singers crack not even when first practicing a song, when like they're on stage and they're, out of breath or they're tired or, just using too much intensity, or yeah, I'm thinking of a video of Kelly Clarkson cracking in the studio, and she's, like, making fun of herself for it. So, yes, absolutely. Um, Cracks happen. We learn to prevent them, but yeah, I still crack. Everybody still cracks. So little imbalances, too much air, not enough air, vowel not tuned quite right, um, being tired, being out of breath, anything like that could cause you to crack. It's just over time you start to anticipate that a little bit better and kind of smoothly maneuver around it. But yeah, uh, experience doesn't make you immune. Cool. Okay, so D Phantom was saying I just used Tuner Ninja for my range, A2 to C#5. I think that's tenor range. Yeah, awesome. Then you might be just lucky. And you know what? Um, Tenors and lighter, higher voice types might have an easier time than singers with lower or heavier voices. Um, that that just makes sense to me. Yeah. Awesome. Great. Don't overthink it. You're doing great. Zach's asking, how high can a bass sing in mixed voice? Depends on the bass, Zach. So I would say we have to make a distinction between like a pop bass baritone, think like Avi Kaplan from Pentatonics, um, and then like a true like classical or operatic bass. There are some classical teachers who would say basses are rarely like going into head voice or really mixing all that much. Um, but I would say for a pop bass baritone, I mean, G4, A flat 4. Like the reason I'm thinking of that is I'm thinking of musical theater songs sung by baritones as opposed to tenors. And typically their like money notes will be like G4, A flat, A, that they're kind of mixy belting rather than a tenor who's mixy belting like a C5. That's my answer, but that's not a hard and fast like rule by any stretch. Kay was saying, how do we time our breath efficiently when there's very little space between words or phrases? Oh man, that's a great question. So, Kay, I would say sometimes you have to leave a phrase a little bit early in order to breathe. Um, Sometimes we have to eliminate words in order to give ourselves a chance to breathe. If you find yourself in that position, I'm trying to think of like Whatever the words are for I think it's levitating, Dua Lipa? Anyways, if you find yourself in a position where there literally is no place to breathe, then either cut one word a little bit short so that you can take a breath at the end of it, or cut an extraneous word. For example, the word I, or and. Something that if you cut it, the meaning doesn't change, go for it. The like general rules would be try to take breaths where you would normally pause or have some sort of punctuation. So if the text was written, just like written out, if there would be a period or a comma or anything like that, that's usually a good place to breathe. But again, if there literally is no place to breathe, sometimes you have to just create a space. Poker God is asking, is going from head to chest more difficult than chest to head? Depends on the singer. Some singers would say yes. Some singers would say no, it's the opposite. It just depends. I don't really know that there's a uh, yeah, I don't know that, like, the majority of singers would agree with either. Um, I can say I think at this point in my life, I think it's easier to transition up, meaning chest to head rather than head to chest. Um, but that's just me. Vince is saying, slow to mid-tempo R&B voice. Um So Vince, with any style that we are trying to capture, a lot of it comes down to mimicking mindfully. So when you try to imitate or mimic Arthur Neri, I don't know that I know that singer. Let me look them up. Um, yeah, I don't know that I know this singer, so I'll have to listen to them. Um, but without hearing them first, I would say you might benefit from that lesson I posted earlier. That was this one. I'll repost it here. There you go. Um, Let me make sure that link works for you. No, no, that was not the correct link. Hold on. Ignore that link. I'm gonna give you another link. That's the link. Sorry, Vince. Um Anyways, okay, so I would say when you're imitating the sound of another singer, um, start to pay attention to what you're doing that gets you closer to the sounds they're making. Vowels are huge. Dynamic or intensity or volume that you're singing with is also huge. Airflow is also something to pay attention to. So I would say if you're doing a good job matching that singer's vowel shapes, their general vibe and delivery, um, their intensity, their airflow, I think that'll get you as close as possible to their sound. And then if you can identify like, "Oh, they do this thing," whatever that thing is, "They do this thing and that's hard for me," then you know where to focus or what, lessons or warm-ups to look for. So if it's like, oh, he goes into falsetto and it's like this high, light, floaty sound, and you have a hard time accessing that, for example, then you know where to look and where to continue your education. Um, Kay was saying, how do we maintain vibrato in head voice? I feel it's easier in chest voice for me. That's not terribly surprising because vibrato, it's this relaxation mechanism of our voice. So it usually appears where your voice is most relaxed. So if your voice isn't totally relaxed or reasonably relaxed in head voice, then that could be why. I would try different vowel shapes. I would play with the amount of space in your mouth. Um, I yeah. That's where I would start. I would also play with, like, how much support I don't love using that word, but how much assistance do you feel you're getting from your abdomen or the muscles between your ribs when you're singing in head voice? Because sometimes we feel really grounded and strong, hey, in chest voice, and then we get to head voice, whoo, and it's not grounded or strong. But if you can engage your body in head voice in the same way that you engage your chest voice. One way maybe to do that would be sliding on a lip trill and then seeing if that, consistent feeling of, if you want to call it support or just engagement with your body, see if that helps you to release that vibrato. Um, I did a short lesson on troubleshooting, vibrato issues. Let me find that for you, and that might help. It's a 10-minute video, so it will not take up too much of your time. Oh, Aida, I'm curious why you don't like the word support. It's not that I don't like the word support, it's that I think it's a bit overused and commonly misunderstood. Because oftentimes when a voice teacher uses the word support, um, singers easily then think, it has to be very rigid. They think support like push or squeeze or holding something up, and it sometimes can cause us to have rigidity and locking up of muscles that we don't want. So, that's why I just hesitated a little bit because it's one of those words, some people like it, some people hate it. Um, but yeah, the question is what would I say other than support? That's why I said engagement instead, because engagement can be a little bit more relaxed or expansive or subtle, in the way that breath support is most of the time. 3 more minutes for Q&A, by the way, and then I will be bidding you adieu. Aw, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you being here alive. Always fun to answer some questions on the go. Someone asked something a while ago that I did not get to. Global Warming was asking, "Can you break down the riff of Nothing Without You by Amber Iman?" And I haven't heard that, so I can't break it down without hearing it, but I will look it up. Along with Arthur Neri, I will listen. That name sounds so familiar, which makes me think maybe I have heard Arthur. But I will put that Nothing Without You, Amber Iman. Cool. I'll listen to that in a little bit. That'll be fun. I actually see Natalie Weiss broke down that riff for you already. So here it is. Don't need to recreate the wheel. Hmm. Ooh, Aida asked a question that I don't have the expertise to answer. Do you think that you can overcome bowed vocal cords with vocal training? So bowed meaning like, bowed legs. Um, my guess would be my guess would be yes, but I do not know. I haven't encountered that myself. That might be something that a speech language pathologist would be better equipped to answer. Um, so I cannot give you a definitive answer. I do not know. Bowed vocal cords. Yeah, it all depends on what's causing it. That'll help you uh, understand the treatment. Okay, yeah. Apparently, it develops secondary to the thyroarytenoid muscles atrophying, most frequently seen in older people. I'll research that. This is saying it can be successfully achieved in a voice therapy program designed to re-strengthen and rebalance the laryngeal musculature. But there are some surgical options for whom that doesn't work. Okay, got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, yeah, so it sounds like speech language pathology would be the first course, but again, I have not encountered that or worked with someone with that issue. Um, Kay okay, last 2 questions, then I'll let you guys go. Kay asked, "Are there physical barriers or limits in our individual voices due to anatomy alone?" I would say the only one that I can think of, worth acknowledging would be your range, because your range is pretty much determined by the length of your vocal folds. Um, the vocal folds, I would say, are much more flexible in their ability to stretch, but I cannot, once my vocal folds are resting and they're singing the lowest pitch that they can, um, it's difficult for me to extend my range lower, if I've reached the true bottom of my range. So most people agree that range is anatomically determined. But I don't want that to discourage you, because most people can expand their range. You're not using your full vocal range pre-vocal training. In fact, a lot of people think that their voice stops where their chest voice stops, and that is far from true. So yeah, don't be discouraged. There's a lot of things that we do to limit our range. Both in, singing lower and singing higher. A lot of times we're getting in the way by doing something weird, um, or trying to help in some way. So, anyways, I would say take that with a grain of salt. And then last question, what's your take on the Weeknd's vibrato? I have a similar vibrato to him. Some say it's fake vibrato. When I try to slow it down, it just feels unnatural. People have different speeds of vibrato. I would say the Weekend is on the faster side, but people have different vibrato speeds, and there's nothing wrong with that. So if that's what feels natural for you, that probably is, and this is without hearing you, of course, but that probably is your natural vibrato speed, and that's fine. No issues. Um, if it's so fast that it's like a bleating sound, like, "Ah," then that might be something that is more due to tension, that we would want to address. But if it's just on the faster side, like The Weekend, I mean, come on, he's one of the biggest pop stars of our time. It's obviously worked for him, so no issues with that, um, from me. Alright, I'm letting you go. No live lesson here on YouTube next week. I'm going to be out of town and away from my laptop for a bit. So I'll miss you, but I'll be back the following week, and I hope to see some of you there. Alright, see ya. Thank you again.